This is 2 Minutes Together, a ministry of Central Lutheran Church, Eugene, Oregon. I'm Pastor Ben. This week, in our gospel lesson from Matthew 13, we have Jesus saying parables, and he has a whole bunch of parables. He just says one after the other. The kingdom of heaven is like. So he has the famous one of the mustard seed, of the pearl of great price, of a variety of different little parables, often only one verse long, but it's always the kingdom of heaven. And this is an interesting concept in the Gospels of Jesus continuing to talk about this kingdom of God or kingdom of heaven, and not one time does Jesus ever define it. He does all these analogies. Well, what is it like? But what we find is that he didn't have to define it for his own audience because they seem to understand what he was talking about by kingdom. But he continues to use these analogies that were quite shocking. For example, he uses this analogy in our gospel lesson. The kingdom of God is like a seed of mustard, because then it grows big and birds nest in it. Most of you know that analogy very well, that parable. But in fact, it's actually really weird, because had Jesus said, the kingdom of God, that which God establishes on earth, is like the greatest tree in the forest, why, everyone would have yawned. Well, of course, that's what the kingdom of God is. But Jesus instead says, it's like this mustard. And this mustard, the thing about it is that was a weed. It wasn't used very well. And everyone says, wait a minute, what is he talking about? One person says, well, I think it's about this fact that this mustard is that it stays around forever. You try to pull it out, it comes back, and it's about the endurance of God's presence on earth. Another person says, no, I think it has to do with the fact that we don't really want this mustard, and we try to root it out, we try to throw it away. Others says, no, I don't think so. I think it has to do with the fact that this mustard is an unlikely place that people would dwell, that these birds would dwell. We'd expect them to want the big trees, but instead they use this mustard. And there's all these different ideas. Some of you might think of more. And that is exactly what Jesus wants. If Jesus wanted to say simply, the kingdom of God starts small and grows bigger, he could have said that. Instead, he uses parables to get us talking, to get us saying those assumptions we had about what we thought God was in our lives. Let's talk about them. Let's find out if that's really true. One thing we're doing at Central in these coming weeks is we're going to be having a class series on civic life and faith. How do we faithfully relate to the government around us, to the society around us? And some of us have a lot of assumptions about that. It might mean one thing or another thing. But what is Jesus telling us in these parables, which also, by the way, have to do with justice in the world, is let's get talking about it. Let's get some different ideas out there and meaningfully have a dialogue, not a debate. A debate, you have a winner and a loser. A discussion, we all grow together. That's what I think an aspect of what Jesus is talking about for us using these parables. This is 2 Minutes Together. I'm Pastor Ben.